Awesome. What's your name?
Hunter Eve.
Hunter Eve. Rob Clark.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Have you ever heard of a bridge partner?
I have not.
You don't know anything about what a bridge partner is?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you own an auto loan?
No.
Do you ever plan on getting a mortgage?
Yes.
The bank is the bridge in that situation. Because without that, would you own the house?
Mm-mm.
Do you actually own the house, or does the bridge actually own the house?
The bridge?
The bridge, right? Okay, great. And so, have you ever heard of anyone co-signing on a car?
I think so.
That's kind of a double bridge, right? Like your dad co-signs on a car that you're
Yeah.
with or whatever,
Mhm.
and then the finance company is actually the bridge that pays for their car,
Mhm.
and then you get to drive the car, but who holds the title?
My dad
And the bank, right?
in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, until you pay it off,
Mhm.
and then it goes to your dad. You never touch it.
Right.
Just kidding. So, a bridge partnership program that I created is for online advertisers.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, people ask me all the time, why would an online advertiser need a bridge partner? Right? You're
Right.
not trying to like give them any money or finance anything for them, right?
Right.
It makes no sense, right? But really, what it is in the nutraceutical space, right? Specifically, skin products, right? Have you ever heard of Garcinia cambogia or a keto diet? Very popular keto diet,
Yeah.
right? Those diets and those programs have been on Dr. Oz, and they've been on the Doctor Show. They've been endorsed by those shows. Those are typically the products that these online advertisers sell, right? They do on average about $100 million a year in product sales,
Wow.
right? That's a lot, right? So the only way that they can get to that kind of volume is by having many, many a bridge partners, okay? And what a bridge partner in that situation is, you basically have the mother company, right, which is the online advertiser, right? Right? ER, there we go. Sorry about my handwriting. I read like a boy, right? Read like a boy. And then what the online advertiser does is typically before 2016, they would have the ability to sell about $10 million a month in selling power through like their affiliate marketers and their distribution and manufacturing and labels and all that stuff there, right? But what happened was in 2016, a couple of those online advertisers, they got greedy and they ruined it for everybody else. And what happened was is they sold $30 million of diet products, Garcinia cambogia, right? And they just left, disappeared, right? And they never delivered the products to the end consumers at all.
Oh, wow.
So they left Visa and MasterCard on the hook for refunding all those people. That's why you have a debit or credit card, because Visa or MasterCard ensures that you are avoiding any fraud, right? So they defrauded people out of $30 million.
Wow.
Right? And left Visa and MasterCard on the hook. Well, the only way that Visa and MasterCard now can protect themselves, and that they wanted to make sure that it was a rule for everybody now, even though only a very small percentage of people ruined the party, right? Is they dropped their $10 million worth of selling power down to about $200,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know $200,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it's actually at a loss. If they don't sell massive amounts of volume or products online, they actually lose money because it costs money to market the product,
Right.
to ship the product. Those are the two biggest costs right there. Making the product, we're making the labels and the bottles and also the refunds and everything else on there, they actually lose money. So they actually have to sell about $4.5 million a month worth of the products. They actually start hitting profit margins because some of their costs are fixed, right? So when it's fixed and it goes above that margin goes to profit,
Right.
But if they don't hit those numbers, they lose money and they're out of business, right?
Yeah.
So the online advertiser, under their own personal name and umbrella and corporation, can only do about $200K a month in online sales, right? Which would completely ruin the whole business, right? So what the legal team and everyone else has created was bridge partners, corporations, right? So for example, what we would do with you, right, is if it was okay with you and you get the concept, right, we would create a corporation for you in your name so that the corporation is actually protecting your name, right? And the online advertiser would actually buy that corporation or partner with your corporation, right? That online advertiser would do all the advertising, pay for all the websites and the banking websites and everything for you. You know how much money you spend out of pocket? $0.
Right.
You spend nothing out of pocket to be a bridge partner,
Okay.
right? And what you're really doing is giving the online advertiser access to another $200,000 a month of selling power, right? So we do this 50 times and we go back to our $10 million in selling power where they need to be to make a healthy profit,
Right.
right? So we get 50 of these bridge partners in a row, all collectively, individually working with the online advertiser, right? Now, the biggest question I ask for people is, what liability do I have, right? What's the risk to me?
Yeah.
If this online advertiser goes rogue the way those Canadian guys did, how am I affected? And the honest answer is, you personally are not affected. That's why we created a corporation, right? So when you own a corporation and we do everything correctly, legally, and everything else, can they ever go after you personally? No, they can't, right? Your corporation can do everything except get married, thank God, and vote, right? It can do everything else. Does it have a tax ID number? Absolutely it does. So we never submit anything with your social security number. Everything's with the tax ID number,
Right.
right? To there and everything else, okay? And also the partnership agreement or the purchase agreement that the advertiser has with you completely exonerates you from any legal or any financial wrongdoing, because any exposure that would go to your corporation is now transferred to the online advertisers corporation through a legal contract that they signed and dated with you, right?
Yes.
But without you, they wouldn't have another $200,000 a month of selling power, right? Now, the other question I get all the time is, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
What do I get? Why would I do this for an online advertiser, right? And so every bridge partner, after about 75 days from the day we do all the paperwork and everything is done, you will make every 30 days from that point forward $750, no questions asked. Every month, for as long as they're using and partnering with your corporation, right? So this has been a problem now for over 3 years. And a lot of these people that have been helping have been making over $750 a month for the last 3 years, right? Now, if your corporation does $2.4 million in revenue, right? 200,000 times 12 months, 2.4 million.
Right.
And who's going to pay taxes on that? Who's going to be responsible for paying all that stuff, right? And all of that stuff is on the online advertiser. His legal team and tax accountants and everything else, they do everything on behalf of your corporation, right?
Okay.
The only thing you're responsible for paying is taxes on the $750 a month, right? You'll get what's called a K-9 with actually issues about a $9,000 over a 12-month period that you will be responsible for paying earned income taxes on, right? Now, you're a college student,
Yes.
right? Yeah, so you're young and you don't earn that much money, so it won't be hard to write off $9,000.
Okay.
Right? So you probably won't pay anything in taxes. But if you're making $100,000 or $150,000 and we add another 9 to it, I would probably set aside like around 20%, right? Or in this case, $1,800
Right.
in taxes on there, okay? I know this seems like nuts, right? On the whole program and everything else. And it is a ridiculous problem, but it is a problem nonetheless that we have solved, okay? Have you ever heard of this ever being a problem? Isn't it insane, right? But, that's what happens when a few people ruin it for everybody else.
Right.
Right? Is that they regulate it even harder for everybody else. And a lot of people they don't have deep pockets or they can't handle it, they don't know how to evolve, they die. Right? And so the advertisers that I work with, they've all evolved and they're living, right? And they're good to go on everything at all. And so the online advertiser, like I said, will open a corporation, will pay for all the expenses for you and everything else on there. The only thing that we do need from you is a couple of personal documents that I'll go over with you, off camera, that we need to be able to prove your identity, because where fraud is most prevalent? Online. Where are we selling? Online business, right? And so that's another reason why it's super regulated, right? If this was a brick and mortar location, it would be almost impossible to sell $100 million of keto, okay? Because you're stuck to only that little geographic location.
Right.
Now that we're online, we have the whole world. A lot easier to sell $100 million of that product, okay? But that's where most of the fraud is. So it's a lot more stringent on the banking regulations and everything else. So we do have to prove your identity 100% to the banks. They want to verify, that you actually are who you are through a lot more means than just your name over the phone and your social security number and all this stuff. They want you to prove without a shadow of a doubt. So we have a process that breaks it all down for you, right? And has it all set up. Well, it takes about a week to get everything going, and then within about 75 days, the banks pass, everything else on there. They want to make sure that you don't have any bankruptcies or any tax liens at all or anything like that would show that you're untrustworthy or going through a hard time and are in a financial strain, right? And so once they vet all that information from you, which takes about 75 days, we are good to go. Your business starts producing revenue right away because online advertiser, they already have enough affiliate marketing power to sell $250 million of these products a year by themselves, right? And the products that they're going to be selling mostly is CBD. CBD oil, you know what that is? Yeah, so a lot of people love CBD oil. It was the reason why that's considered a neutral product is because it comes from the marijuana plant, right? Even though it's all the medical ingredients, and scientists now in California have been able to show exactly how to separate THC completely from the medical part of it, they still say it's from a type 1 narcotic, which is equivalent to heroin.
Wow.
Right? And so because it's in the same family as heroin, and it's now been proven medically through the FTC and everything else, and the FDA, that there's no harmful effects. It doesn't alter your state of mind. It doesn't make you go insane. It can't kill you, right? By taking these, no one can be allergic to it, things like that, right? It's now legal in all 50 states. And so CBD in 2019 is going to be a $10 billion business online alone, right? And so these online advertisers are begging people like me who helped create the process and everything else and how to find bridge partners to be able to find another 50 so bridge partners so that they can get their piece of the CBD market. So that's a lot of people making $750 a month, right? This is not an MLM, okay? You can't make money a piece of someone's $750 for referring them. It doesn't work like that at all. This is directly with you and the advertiser. So it really looks like this. Like this is the advertiser's company. It looks like this, right? And these are all bridge partners that work directly with the online advertiser, right? Now you will have to know about CBD, learn a little bit about what's in CBD, what makes CBD so special and everything else, so that when the banks ask you about CBD, you're actually, you know what's going on, right? You're not just somebody in there. But in the world of online advertising, distribution, manufacturing, dealing with chargebacks, refunds, fraud, you don't have to worry about learning any of that stuff. The online advertiser and his team or her team take advantage and take care of all that for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So how much money do you spend?
None.
And how much do you make?
$750 a month.
Yeah. After how many days?
75.
75 days, right? What's your personal risk?
Nothing.
Yeah, because why?
Because it's all through the advertiser.
Yeah, and we open a corporation, right? Now, I will tell you in all honesty, there actually is about a 1% risk in you personally, right? And what that is called, you could be what's on the TMF list, right? Or what's called the match list, right? Now, what the match list is in the world of online banking, there's only about 10 to 12 banks that you've never heard of. You ever heard of PaySafe? No. Because you've heard of like Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Those are traditional brick and mortar banks. If you want a brick and mortar location, you can go there, open up a checking account, and get all that stuff set up and everything else, right? For the world of online, those are considered high-risk banks, right? They only deal with online stuff. They don't do any brick and mortar, right? And so those banks, if you'd never opened an online business, you wouldn't know what the name of those banks are.
Right.
Okay? And so there's only about 10 or 12 of those banks, right? So if you get put on the match list, it could limit your ability for about 5 years to get another high-risk merchant account, right? So do you plan on opening up an online business in the next 5 years?
No.
No? Do you plan on ever doing anything in the high-risk business space? What do you want to do? So you want to do event planning, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the event planning is all face-to-face, right? So if I hand you a card and you take it and charge it, that's considered low risk.
Right.
Because it was a face-to-face transaction, right? No problem. PayPal will eat that up. Square, Stripe, all the other ones. I'll eat that up, no problem, right? So based on that, it seems like you would be a good candidate and a good fit. And the $750, would that benefit you?
Yeah.
How much would that benefit you a month?
A lot.
A lot? Yeah, awesome. Okay. And so once we prove your identity to the banks and everything's good to go, I actually introduce you over to the advertiser you'll be working with before I send you to the banks, right? And we get good to go. But you don't have to open up a checking account, a business checking account, or any of that stuff because this online advertiser in particular has a purchase agreement. So they actually create a corporation for you, then they purchase it from you, right? So the purchase agreement exonerates you from any liability that happens under your corporation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some advertisers, they want you to partner with them, right? Where they still do all of the advertising, marketing, and sales and distribution, everything for you, but you still have to be very familiar and kind of know what's going on. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? None whatsoever. What do you think?
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to move forward?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Awesome. Great. And that is what a bridge partner is in terms of working with online advertisers in the nutraceutical space.